Sora is an 18-year-old shut-in virgin with no friends, and he spends all of his time in a dark room playing games, eating energy bars, and drinking Gatorade. His partner in crime is his younger sister Shiro, an 11-year-old Loli, who is also a shut-in, just like her brother, and she doesn't go to school. While you may think that they are just like you, they are actually very, very good at playing games. It would be an understatement to call them good, because they are like an urban legend in the world of games. They play as a team of 4 characters, whose names are always left blank, and that is why everyone calls them Team Blank. Sora and Shiro control 2 characters each at the same time and beat thousands of players at the same time, even when their opponents use cheat codes and mods to have unlimited mana. After one long gaming session, Shiro gets tired, so she puts her controllers under Sora's feet, so that he can play using all 4 accounts all by himself. Sora is already sleep-deprived from the past week, but his mama didn't raise a quitter, so he plays all night controlling 4 different characters on 4 different screens. In the morning, he suddenly gets an email, and Shiro tells him to receive it because it might be from a friend. Sora laughs, asking his sister when did she get so good at sarcasm. Shiro decides to check the mail herself, and to her surprise, it has been addressed to Team Blank. Sora is curious because their identity has never been revealed to the world, and he checks the link attached to it, which turns out to be an invitation to a game of chess. Shiro tells her brother all the best as she goes back to sleep, but Sora wakes her up because she is the better chess player between the 2 of them. However, the opponent she is facing this time is really tricky, so Sora goes to back her up, saying that together they are Team Blank and they never lose. He makes the loli sit on his lap, making their FBI guy suspicious, and then they play chess with a stranger all day long, and after racking their brains out, they finally win. Shiro says that it was the hardest game she played in a while, and then suddenly, they get another mail from the same person, who says that this world must be a really bothersome place for talented gamers like them. Sora agrees because if he thinks of life as a game, there are no rules or goals, and over 7 billion players are doing whatever the hell they want. A stranger asks them what they think of a world where the rules and goals are crystal clear, and Sora says that he will pray to Truck-kun to send them there. As soon as he types this response, all the screens in their room begin to glitch. Suddenly, 2 hands come out on one of the screens, telling Sora and Shiro that they were born in the wrong world, and he is going to take them to the place where they belong since Truck-kun is busy dealing with other insults right now. Suddenly, the roof of their room explodes and Sora and Shiro are thrown into outer space. They scream as they fall to a strange planet, and a boy accompanies them, welcoming them to his world. He tells them that this is the world of games called Disboard, where everything from people's lives to the boundaries of nations is decided through games. Shiro asks him who the hell he is, and the boy introduces himself as Tet, the god of this world. He then starts reciting the 10 rules of this world. First, there should be no sort of violence in the world. Second, all the conflicts are resolved through games. Third, both parties must bet something they agree is of equal value. And fourth, anything can be placed as a bet, and any game can be played. The 5th rule states that the challenged party has the right to decide the game and rules, and the 6th states that the bets made in the games must be upheld. The 7th rule says that conflicts between groups are decided by games between their designated representatives. The 8 rules state that being caught cheating means instant loss, and the 9th rule says that these rules can never be changed. Sora yells at Tet, telling him that this is not the time for a run-through of this world's rules, because they are about to hit the ground. They do so, but surprisingly, they are not even scratched. Tet looks down on Sora and tells him that the 10th and most important rule is to have fun, and with that, he vanishes, his voice echoing through the sky and telling Sora and Shiro that they will meet again soon. Sora and Shiro get up to see what is happening and find that they are in a different world with monsters like dragons, and they begin crying, realizing that maybe Earth was not a shitty place after all. They begin to head to the nearest human settlement and run into some thieves on the way. But even the thieves can't harm them without winning against them in a game, which again is an impossible task. After defeating them and taking everything they own, Sora learns the lore of this world. Long ago, there was a bloody and brutal war between the gods of this world to obtain the title of the true god. The war came to an end quickly after too much bloodshed, and no one won. The only god who did not participate in that war was Tet, the god of games, and he became the winner by default. After he became the true god, Tet cursed all other gods whose violence had ravaged this world, and then created the full list of 10 rules and declared them to the 16 races living in the world, telling them to use everything they have to rise up in the world. With that information, Sora and Shiro head to the nearby city, still trying to process a world where your worth is decided by how good of a gamer you are. Soon, they reach the capital city of Elkia, where a grand gambling tournament is being organized to select the next king. Sora learns the details from an old blonde hooker, who is wearing too much makeup to conceal her age. She tells him that it was the wish of the late king to make the biggest gambler of their country the next king. She then points towards the pink-haired bitch who is almost in tears while playing a game and says that she is Steph, the granddaughter of the previous king, but because of his will, she has to play the game like everyone else. However, she will most probably lose because her opponent is the strongest player right now. Sora suddenly gets a glimpse of the hooker's loaded purse, and he challenges her to a game. He asks her to bet all the money she has, and in return he is going to bet himself and Shiro, telling the old hag that she can do anything she wants with them. While the woman is shocked, she accepts the conditions, because at least she can send Shiro to Epstein Island. After she and Sora swear by the rules, she begins distributing the cards and sneakily cheats to get full house, but Sora stuns her by revealing that he has a royal flush. She can't believe this, but Sora tells her that she lost according to the rules and takes away her purse. As they walk away, Shiro tells him that it was blatant cheating, and Sora says that Rule 8 says that they lose only if they are caught cheating, so it's fine as long as they don't get caught. After that, Sora books a room in the inn, while Shiro watches the match between Steph and her opponent. She can tell that Steph is going to lose the match because her opponent is cheating, but she can't understand how. Sora takes a look around the room and finds it hooded girls staring at them with glittering eyes. He suddenly realizes that magic exists in this world, and that is what the purple-haired bitch is using to cheat. Just as Steph is about to make her move, Sora goes to her and whispers in her ear that her opponent is cheating and then leaves for his room. Once they are settled in the room, Sora checks out the gadgets and the solar charger they brought with them when they came here and thinks that this much should be enough to help them. After that, both the siblings fall asleep, but in the middle of the night, someone knocks on the door. Sora goes to see who it is, and to his surprise is the pink-haired princess who has lost everything while gambling, and now she is just wearing a towel, asking Sora to let her in. Once he lets her into the room, Steph blames him for not telling her how her opponent was cheating, because then she could have won. However, she lost everything instead, and now she is never going to be the king. Well, like a true capitalist, Sora sees an opportunity in her suffering and begins to rile her up, saying that she was stupid and couldn't even figure out the trick, so she is not fit to be the king anymore. He begins driving her grandpa into the mix too, saying that Steph must have inherited the stupidity from the old fart who organized a gambling tournament to decide his successor. Steph is furious because no one gets away with slandering her grandpa. She tries hitting Sora, but he stops her and says that they can play a game if she wants revenge. He tells her that they will play rock, paper, scissors, and then he declares that he will play only paper. If he plays anything other than paper, he will lose, but if he defeats her doing that, the match will be considered a tie. After explaining the conditions, Sora explains the wager. He says that if Steph wins, he will do whatever she says, and if he wins, she will have to do whatever he says. In case of a tie, he will give her a hint, and she will owe him a favor, signaling in his purse. Steph thinks that he just wants money if they draw, so she takes up the challenge without any hesitation. She overthinks what move she should play, and in the end goes with scissors, but Sora uses rock, and according to the rules they set, it is a tie. Steph is dejected, but she tells Sora that she will give him a place to live. However, he reminds her that he never said he wanted a place to live or money, but just that he wanted a favor. Steph realizes that she got played, and then Sora stretches to reveal his true desire. He commands Steph to fall in love with him, stunning her and Shiro. Sora proudly explains his plan to his sister, saying that since the rules of the game are absolute, she will have to obey them and fall for him. Once that happens, he can get any amount of money from her. Shiro tells him that he could just say that Steph belongs to him now, and he would get everything he wanted without any emotional baggage. She is disappointed in him because he got carried away in his feelings, and Sora suddenly realizes that being an incel all his life made the fear that he will never get a girlfriend take over the rational part of his brain. He begins banging his head against the wall, and then Shiro calls him a traitor because he said that she was the only girl he ever wanted in his life. Sora immediately begs for forgiveness because he doesn't have any Sweet Home Alabama kinks, and neither does he plan to get the FBI after him. As Sora twerks while apologizing to his sister, Steph throws a tantrum because she can't accept that she is going to fall in love with this loser because of the bet. However, as she sees Sora, the power of the rules makes him appear super attractive to her, and she can't refuse any request he makes. Shiro decides to accept the third wheel in her relationship with Sora and kicks him towards her so that he can graduate from being a virgin. Steph panics and kicks him out of the room, but then suddenly, both Sora and Shiro start glitching. They tremble like their mom's favorite toy and begin calling for each other because they stop functioning normally when they are not together. When Steph opens the door, they turn normal and run towards each other, further confusing her. Anyway, she fulfills Sora's request and takes him and Shiro to her palace, where they tell her that they are from another world. She explains to him the state of the world and humans. There are 16 intelligent races in this world, with the old gods that Tet defeated being the strongest and humans being the weakest of the group. The ranking is decided by their ability to use magic, and since humans can't use magic, they are dead last. Not only that, the kingdom of Elkia is the only human territory because all other kingdoms were conquered by other races through various games. Sora realizes that the reason Steph couldn't tell that her opponent was cheating yesterday was because she couldn't even see her magic. He decides to learn more about this world before starting his work here, but all the books here are in another language. Sora says that he will have to learn the language, but then Shiro tells him that she has finished learning the language just by reading one book. Sora praises her, calling her a genius, and Steph can't believe that a girl like Shiro could learn the language just by reading. She thinks that if Shiro and Sora are as skilled as they boast to be, they might be the hope to save Elkia and all of humanity. She then tells them that her grandpa bet their territories many times to win against other species, but he always lost, and that is why everyone calls him the Foolish King. She says that he believed in the potential of humanity and always said that they can win without having magic. This is why she wants to become the queen and prove him right. However, there doesn't seem to be any time for that because the purple-haired bitch has defeated all the contestants in the gambling tournament, and she is about to be crowned the winner. As she is heading to the crown room with the ministers, Sora and others come to see her. The girl named Kurumi taunts Steph because she's wearing rags now and tells her that she can have her clothes back if she needs them. She then drops the dress on the ground and taunts her, calling her grandpa a foolish king, and asks her not to make the same mistakes as him. However, Sora comes to back Steph up and gives the dress back to Kurumi, telling her that she won it in a game, so she has to keep it till he gets it back. Kurumi doesn't pay him any mind and goes to the crown room, but Sora tells Steph and Shiro to follow him because they are going to take the crown from the vain girl and then prove that Steph's grandpa was not a fool. He crashes the coronation ceremony and says that he objects to Kurumi becoming the new queen. Everyone is shocked as Sora heads to the altar and Kurumi calls Steph a sore loser for sending her servant to challenge her because she already lost. Sora doesn't let Kurumi's taunts get to Steph and then tells everyone that they should not trust this girl because she was cheating with the help of another species. Everyone is confused, but then Steph goes into the crowd and pulls off the hood from one girl's head, revealing that she is actually an elf. Everyone is shocked and thinks that Kurumi was getting help from the elf to win the games, but Kurumi decides to act like she has never met the elf in her life. She tells Sora that if he thinks that the elf girl is the reason she won all the matches, he can send her out of the room and challenge her to a game. The elf runs away with that, and then Kurumi tells Sora that since she is being challenged, she will decide the game they will play. She says that it will be a game where cheating is impossible, and then tells Sora that she will call for him once she has decided the place and the rules. After that, Sora explains to Steph that they spotted Kurumi cheating using magic at the inn itself. He says that the gambling tournament to decide the new king has more plot holes than his underwear. He says that elves are probably manipulating Kurumi. First, they will help her to become the queen, and then she will hand over the throne to them along with the kingdom. That way, the elves will conquer humanity without even challenging their king directly. Steph is shocked to hear all this and says that since Sora called her out for cheating, Kurumi won't be able to use magic this time. Sora simply asks her if she has a single-digit IQ to believe that, because Kurumi is definitely going to use magic, but not the kind that can be detected. Just then, Kurumi comes there to take him to the game site, and in the carriage, she admits that she is working with the elves. However, she says that she is doing this only for the sake of humanity, because the only hope they have of living in peace is by being under the protection of a stronger race. She tells Sora to see the bigger picture and surrender, but Sora and Shiro suddenly pull out their JoJo poses and say that they are not going to fold to such empty threats. Kurumi is disappointed with them and says that she will crush them in a game. She leads them to a castle, where she has prepared the game they will play. It is the life-size chess game from Harry Potter, and Kurumi says that the chess pieces have a will of their own, so just commanding them will be enough to make them move. Shiro says that playing chess is like taking candy from a baby, but Sora suddenly tells Kurumi that he and his sister are going to play as one player, so they will switch mid-game. Kurumi thinks that they will never find out the trick, so she confidently tells him to do as he pleases while her elf partner watches them through a magic pool. The game begins with Shiro controlling the white pieces, but Kurumi's pieces begin moving by defying the rules of chess. Sora realizes that this game of magic chess relies on the leader's charisma and the ability to command the troops, and that is what makes Kurumi's pieces able to do the unthinkable. While Kurumi is pulling out moves out of her ass, like sending the knight straight ahead in a line by jumping over a pawn, Shiro sticks to proper moves and gives her the first check. However, the problem arises when her pieces refuse to listen to her and get mauled by Kurumi's pieces. Sora realizes that since the pieces are sentient, they won't obey orders that will lead to them dying. Because of that, Shiro can't make any sacrifice play, and she keeps getting pushed back. She gets nervous because of that, and the pieces stop listening to simple commands as well. Shiro begins crying because she lost, but then Sora hugs her tightly before he takes command of the game. He suddenly shouts at his troops to get into attention, telling them that they will get serious rewards for winning this war. He promises all the survivors their personal harem and a full pension without taxes for the rest of their life. The pieces suddenly get fired up, and all of them jump into the battlefield together. Sora tells Shiro that this is not chess but real war, and they got to play it like that. He commands his pieces to make unreasonable moves and even sends the king to fight on the front lines. Kurumi tells him to stop because it is her chance, but Sora tells her that only an idiot gives his enemy the chance to move in a war. The desperate Kurumi tells her pawns to form a wall around the king, and then she decides to stop holding back her punches. She tells her king to step into the battle zone as well, and just as he does that, the morale of the black pawns rises up. The white pieces that attack them change their color and lose 50% of their rights, and Sora panics, realizing that Kurumi is using elven magic to brainwash his pieces. He tells his pieces to retreat, but it is too late since Kurumi has gotten full control of the board. Her queen is about to destroy Sora's king and end the game, and seeing no other way to win, Sora jumps into the chessboard himself to stop the attacking queen. He suddenly starts rizzing her up with all the experience from playing dating simulation games. He calls her beautiful and kind and asks her to leave her tyrant of a husband for him. He tells her that her king is a cruel man who uses brainwashing magic to make people into slaves and uses them as tools, and she should be better than him. The queen is moved by his words and she suddenly turns white, shocking everyone. Sora returns back to the balcony, but even after this success, he is nervous because the move he just pulled was a gamble, and he doesn't know if that is going to work anymore. It's about to break down, but then Shiro holds his hand and decides to share the command of their army. She clicks some pictures of Kurumi, who gets intimidated because Sora and Shiro have been using the smartphone to expose her. She tells her knight to attack the converted queen, but the knight is unable to do that, and he breaks down into tears before changing sides as well. No one understands what is going on except Sora and Shiro, who realize that now they can win this war without fighting. He suddenly starts manipulating the queen, telling her that her king has become mad to command his troops to attack her, but they cannot harm the queen they love. He sheds a tear or two as he tells the queen to save her people by defeating the tyrant king, and she suddenly turns red, and gradually the black troops begin turning red as well. Steph can't understand what is happening, but Sora tells her that this is a rebellion, and this is how they win wars without fighting. His words remind Steph of her late grandpa, who always used to say the same thing. He said that the next king should be smart enough to win wars without fighting, and he should realize that humans can be strong in their own way because they are the weakest of the races. She looks at Sora with awe as he commands the white pieces to assist the red queen. Their combined forces corner Kurumi's pieces, and Sora tells her to surrender. However, Kurumi thinks that Sora is taking help from some other race, and if she lets him win, he will sell humanity out. So she becomes unhinged and ferociously commands her troops to fight back and kill the traitorous queen. The black soldiers march ahead and Shiro thinks that they can't win now, but then suddenly, the black king suddenly crumbles and dies. Sora explains that, like real wars, kings can be poisoned by their own subjects who are not even on the battlefield, and that is what killed their enemy king right now. Kurumi falls to her knees because she can't believe that she lost a random go, and Sora thinks that they only won because they come from a world where warfare is too common. He then puts Steph's dress on her shoulder and tells her that they will prove her grandfather right and show the world the true potential of humans. Steph is moved to tears as she thanks him, and then Kurumi also comes there, asking Sora which race is he getting help from. Sora replies that it was just him and Shiro who defeated her, and Kurumi refuses to believe him. Sora tells her that the idea of living under elves was not bad, and then removes her veil as he tells her that he only opposed her because she was undermining the power of humanity. Kurumi suddenly starts crying like a baby on hearing this and says that she was never underestimating anyone and she worked really hard to get help from the elves. Sora panics on seeing this, and then Shiro taunts him, saying that he made a girl cry even though he's a virgin. Anyway, after winning that game, Sora earns the right to become the king, but he tells the old minister that since he and Shiro won together, they should both be kings. The minister says that cannot happen according to the laws, and Sora says he will become the king then. However, Shiro objects to that, saying that Sora will create a harem if he becomes the king, and she won't allow it. So they challenge each other to see who will become the next king. And after 3 days of playing cards without a break, they realize that the rule never said that there needs to just be one king. They both get crowned the king, and then make Steph dress in a skimpy-made outfit to live out their fetishes. They get busy playing games immediately, but Steph stops them and says that they need to get to work because she has heard rumors about the ministers secretly dealing with other races. Sora has a very simple solution to that, and he assembles all the ministers and challenges them to a game of rock, paper, scissors, with the condition that the loser can't lie while making the reports. They receive reports from all the ministers and teach them about modern agriculture and capitalism to improve their economy. After that, they go to address the people of Elkia as their new kings and tell them that humanity has always been on the losing side in this world because they are weak and don't have any magic. However, before violence was banned, they were equal to any other race on this world and had control over the entire continent. Sora says that this was not because humans are a species that specialize in violence, but because they polished their intelligence while other species polished their strength. That intelligence helped them survive and thrive, but after war was banned by Tet, the stronger species also began working on their wisdom, and since humans no longer monopolized that, they were defeated again and again. The people hang their heads down on hearing this, but then Sora says that there is no need for that. He proudly declares that humans are the weakest of species, and since they are born with nothing, they have the potential to become anything. Sora and Shiro swear to be the kings of humanity, and suddenly the race piece, which signifies the representative authority of a race, appears before them. Sora swears that they will fight like the weak do and defeat even the strongest of races. The public begins cheering for them, and as Sora grabs the race piece, he declares war on all the other races in the world, saying that he will take back all the territory they have lost. Steph panics on hearing this, and she goes to complain to Sora that he declared war on the entire world, but he tells her to use her head a bit more. He explains that since they defeated Kurumi, who is backed by the elves, the other races will think that they have the support of even more powerful allies, and until they figure out who it is, no one will dare to attack them. After that, Sora and Shiro go to the royal chamber and read about other races, especially angelic beings called Flugel that are basically librarians who live very, very long. Sora thinks that things would be a lot easier if they got one on their side when suddenly everything around them freezes in time and Tet makes his appearance. He teleports them outside and asks what they think of his world. Sora says that the odds are stacked overwhelmingly against them, and that is the best thing a hardcore gamer can ask for. Tet is glad to hear that, and then Sora asks him if winning the race pieces of all 16 races and get them a ticket to challenge Tet himself for the title of the true god. He affirms, and then Sora asks him if he brought them into this world because he lost to them for the first time in his life and couldn't live with that. Tet smirks and affirms, saying that he won't let them quit while they are ahead and get the scores even with them when they play the next time. He flies off with that, and the world suddenly returns to normal. Coincidentally, Steph could move while time was frozen, and she saw Tet talking to Sora and Shiro and saying that he lost the game. She freaks out and asks Sora what that was, but he tells her to get them down from the rooftop first. Soon after that, Sora gives all the royal work to Steph and gets busy playing games with Shiro. Steph is fed up with that, and she decides to barge into the small room the siblings have rented to play games in peace. They squirm like cockroaches after being hit by the bug-killing spray when the sunlight disturbs their sleep, and Steph tells them to get back to work. Sora and Shiro declare that Team Blank never does any work, no matter the world, and Steph decides to challenge Sora to a game. He accepts the challenge and even lets her decide the game, but before that, he asks what is on the line. Steph says that if she wins, Sora will have to become a decent person, and he panics, thinking that the 10 rules are absolute, and if he indeed loses, he will be forced to become a decent person. However, the game Steph chose is Blackjack, and Sora is not even interested in playing against her now. Steph lets him ride his high horse because she's been practicing a cheat shuffle for the past month, and using it, she wins games consecutively in a row. Sora is not even fazed by that, and in the last round, he goes all in and wins all the chips that Steph had. She is devastated that she lost and asks how she could lose. Sora tells her that he could see her cheating even with his eyes closed, but that only helped him since it made it easier for him to count cards and find the correct point to win. Steph is disheartened, and she begins to leave to do some work because the reformative policies that Sora and Shiro have applied are facing opposition from some nobles, and she has to deal with them. Sora decides to help her out this time, and he goes to the palace and defeats the nobles quickly, taking away their title and every last bit of their wealth. They run away without even their clothes, and Steph says that Sora's method was so crude. She sighs, saying that she worked really hard to keep the opposition under control peacefully. She explains the diplomatic approach she was taking, which causes Shiro and Sora to freeze in shock as they realize that Steph is not their enemy's version of Sakura. She tells them to stop underestimating her because she graduated at the top of her academy and has lots of influential friends, and that hits Sora and Shiro right where it hurts because they never went to school and don't have any friends either. They are really jealous of Steph now, and as their reward for winning the game just now, they make her dress like a furry and take her out on a walk in the market. Sora and Shiro get more nervous than her on seeing people, even though she is the one wearing a tail and fake ears. The people seem wary of them, and Steph says this is because she looks like a Warbeast, who are the 14th race according to magic, but their kingdom is the 3rd largest one in the world. Sora is shocked to hear this, and his fetishes for seeing cute furry lolis wake up. He declares that they will conquer the country of Warbeasts first, and Steph tells him to stop being stupid. Anyway, Sora and Shiro leave to search for something in the market, leaving Steph tied to a pole like a real dog. She finds them soon and challenges Sora to a game again, saying that she will make him a fulfilled man if he loses. Sora is ready to lose the game instantly, but Shiro takes up the challenge instead of him. Steph bets her on the gender of the people who pass the road next, and Shiro wins that easily by applying advanced statistics. She takes Steph's underwear and wears it as a head, but Steph is not yet ready to give up. She challenges the siblings again and again, losing every time. Eventually, she is barely wearing an apron, but this bitch is an exhibitionist, and she challenges Sora again. She bets that pigeons on the nearby roof will fly away in 30 seconds, but Sora tells her to make it 3 and then throws a stone at them, causing them all to fly away. Steph is defeated mentally now, and she asks why she can't even win games of chance. Sora tells her that there is nothing like a game of luck, and information can turn the tides of any game. However, that is what's bugging them right now, because they don't have enough information on the kingdom of furries to invade them. He says that they have only found that the Warbeasts have powerful bodies, sharp senses, and a 6th sense that allows them to read minds, and there is no mention of any weakness in any book in the palace. There are no libraries in the city as well, and their trip here has been fruitless. Steph suddenly realizes that Sora and Shiro were trying to gather information to win against other races all this time. She blames herself for not thinking like them, but then Sora and Shiro praise her for holding the kingdom together on her own in their absence. Suddenly, the shadow of a huge object covers the entire city, and everyone looks up to see a floating object above them. Sora and Shiro are awestruck to see it, and Steph explains that this is the city of the Phantasma, who are ranked 2nd among all the races, and the being called Flugel live among them because they were created by the Phantasma. Sora wants to fight against them badly and wishes that they had the knowledge of the angelic beings called Flugel with them. Steph suddenly tells him that there is a Flugel not far away from the city. She explains that the winged woman came to the library one day and challenged her grandpa, who bet the library and lost it. Sora gets furious on hearing that her stupid grandpa bet the only hope of humanity and flips her the bird as he goes to the library. They reach there later in the evening and Steph warns him that Flugels are an artificial race that were created to kill gods in the ancient war. Sora is even more excited to see her now, and as he opens the door to the library, is awed by how grand it is from inside. Suddenly, the winged woman they were looking for descends from the top, and Sora immediately realizes that she is bad news. The woman introduces herself as Jibril and asks Sora and Shiro what she can do for the new kings of humanity. Sora gets to business and tells her that he wants the library, and she asks if he is challenging her to a game. She tells him that before the 10 rules were applied, the Flugel collected heads of the dragons and gods they defeated, but now they just collect books. She says that their libraries are more precious to them than their lives and asks Sora what he can bet in return. Sora says that he will bet 40,000 books from their world, and Jibril spits her tea on Shiro's face at this mouth-watering offer. Sora shows her his tablet that has all the books he downloaded to help him in quiz games, and Jibril starts drooling over it. However, she refuses to believe that they are from another world, and summoning creatures from another world requires such a huge amount of magic that not even the old gods can do it. To confirm her suspicions, she says she will need to do a body check, and Sora immediately agrees, saying that she will have to let him touch her special place in return as well. Jibril has no issues with that, but Sora's happiness vanishes when he learns that Flugels are the most sensitive in their wings. Anyway, he makes her dam overflow just by rubbing her wings, and then Jibril checks his chest to confirm if he has any magic or spirit circuits inside. She concludes that he doesn't have the spirit circuits that all creatures in this world have, which means they are something completely unknown, and she loves the unknown. She accepts that Sora and Shiro are not from this world and gets ready to take their challenge. Jibril says that her library is not equal to the 40,000 books they have, so she bets everything she owns in the game. Sora is glad to hear that, and he gladly accepts her bet. Jibril then takes everyone down to the basement of the library and explains the game they will play on the game. It is a game called shiratori in which players have to say a word that begins with the last letter of the previous word. They can't repeat a word, and failing to say anything within 30 seconds counts as a loss. However, the game is going to be more intense than that. Jibril says that they will play Materialization shiratori. If they name something that exists in the room, it will vanish. And if they name something that doesn't exist, it will appear. As polls are not allowed, and once the game is over, everything will return to normal, so they have nothing to worry about. Sora and Shiro accept the challenge, and Jibril tells them to prepare to die. She gives them the chance to go first, and Sora immediately summons a hydrogen bomb on them. Luckily, Jibril uses the highest level sealing spell to stop it from destroying everyone. She tells Sora that she won't let him end the game so quickly, and they keep going back and forth, bringing things into existence and taking them away one by one, including the girls' clothes. They play the game all night long, and Sora sneakily removes the planet's mantle and crust while Jibril is playing normal moves. He then finally decides to end the game and runs to the top of the library before naming lithosphere as the next thing, completely erasing the part between the planet's core and surface. Everyone begins to fall into it, and Jibril counterattacks by removing some nodes from their bodies, and then Sora removes oxygen from the air. Jibril can't breathe, so she thinks the air is gone, and she says air as her next word since she doesn't know what oxygen exactly is. However, this makes the air vanish, and she still can't breathe. On the other hand, Sora and Shiro circulate air within their bodies through their mouths, and for their final word, they say atmosphere, removing everything around them. Jibril still tries to fight back, but she can't utter anything because of the vacuum. However, she uses her magic to write a word and completes her round. Well, Sora had just the thing for her because he had written Coulomb's force on a piece of paper. Coulomb's force is the only thing that stops atoms from clashing together, and when it vanishes, everything will contract to one point and explode with such power that the entire solar system will vanish. Jibril realizes that she will die first because of the explosion, and that will mean her loss. She realizes that Sora had been playing chess while she was playing checkers and accepts her defeat. Soon, the explosion ravages the cosmos, and as Jibril loses, everything returns to normal. Steph begins to complain that Sora used her as a decoy for the monsters and then killed her in the end, but he pats her head, saying that they would not have won without her help. Just then, Jibril appears in front of them and tells Sora that everything she owns belongs to him now. He tells her that she can keep the library because they just want to read the books once, and on top of that, he says that she can read the books on their tablet as well. He reveals that it was Tet who called them into this world, and they plan to defeat him in a game, so they are not going to hesitate to make risky moves. Jibril suddenly sees greatness in Sora and kneels before him, swearing to serve him with everything he has got so that he can defeat everyone in this world. Sora then takes Gibril to the palace and asks her to tell him everything about the kingdom of furry girls. Gibril tells him that Warbeasts were divided into different clans for years, and they constantly fought until a shrine priestess called Miko ended the war in just half a century and united all the Warbeast clans, turning them into one of the strongest countries around. Sora doesn't care about that part and asks Gibril to tell him how to win against them so that he can conquer all the furries, but she tells him that she can't help him with that. She once challenged the Warbeast Federation, but she lost. Not only that, even the elves with advanced magic have lost to the Warbeasts 4 times. To make things even worse, the Warbeasts put the condition to erase the memories of the people who lose so that the details about their games never get leaked out. Sora suddenly begins wondering if things are so bad. Why do the different races challenge the Warbeasts to lose to them and give them more territory? Gibril says that in the past 10 years, only one country has challenged the Warbeasts, and Steph tries scooting away from the room on hearing this. Sora asks her which country was stupid enough to do this, and Gibril says she will show it to him personally. She tells everyone to hold her tightly, and then uses magic to teleport them far away from the capital. They see a huge tower in the middle of nowhere, and Steph sheepishly says that this was once their palace, but then the Warbeasts won it and made the tower as their embassy. Sora and Shiro realize that it was Steph's stupid grandpa who challenged Warbeasts and lost half of humanity's territory. As they come back to the library, Sora is in despair and says that Steph's grandpa was really a fool to challenge the Warbeasts, thinking he would get lucky one day and win against them. Steph suddenly starts crying as she asks Sora not to insult her grandpa and then runs away. As she is looking at the ribbon that she always wears, she finds a key in it that her grandpa once told her about. He called it the key to hope and asked her to give it to someone who she could trust with humanity's future. She says she won't give it to Sora because he doesn't respect her grandpa, when suddenly, Gibril pops up from the wall behind her, freaking her out. She tells Steph that she should return to the library at once to sort the issue between her and Sora, and she reluctantly goes there. While she hides behind the wall, she hears Sora saying that no sane man would challenge an enemy he can't beat 8 times in a row. He begins marking the places Steph's grandpa bet and says that only the last castle he bet was worth anything. He says that it doesn't make sense because Steph's grandpa must have had some kind of plan, but he can't guess what it is. He suddenly realizes that the old king stopped challenging the Warbeasts after 8 times because he got what he wanted, and he thinks that it can help them win against them. Gibril asks him why he is so determined to see humanity in such a high esteem, and Sora says that he isn't. He says that humans simply suck, and they are losers without any special abilities, and that includes him too. Steph is hurt by this and begins walking away, but then Sora says that while most humans are trash, some are genuinely exceptional, like Shiro, that encompass the true potential of humanity. He says that he met her 8 years ago and she was much smarter and more perceptive than him, which made him hope to be more like her. He then tells Gibril that in their world, humans can fly in the air and reach the moon because of some people who had real talent, and they did not stop even when others judged them. Sora says that his job is to find the potential in humans here, and that is why he wants to believe in the old king. Steph starts crying on hearing this, and she goes to Sora to give him the key. They immediately head to the king's chamber in the palace, and with just a little bit of looking, they unlock the puzzle that opens the passage to a secret chamber. Sora unlocks it, hoping to find the old king's corn collection, but to his surprise, he finds a secret study where the old man has left a message for his successors. He writes that since Warbeasts thought that humans could not be a threat to them, they didn't wipe his memories to make him try again and again. He used the opportunity to learn as much as he could about their game and compiled it. Even though he was called a foolish king because of that and he had sworn not to tell anyone about it, he hoped that this information would help the king that came after his death. He wanted the next king to be humanity's greatest gambler so he could take one last risk and defeat the Warbeasts, restoring humans to their former glory. Sora gives the king's diary to Steph, telling her that her grandpa was a great man who pretended to be a fool for the sake of their future, and she breaks down into tears. The next morning, Sora and his group head to the Tower of Warbeasts that serves as the embassy. An old furry man named Ino welcomes them and asks if they are here to meet the representative of the Warbeasts. Sora affirms and says they should start the meeting right away, but Steph is terrified because she is sure that Warbeasts can read their minds. They are shocked to find giant televisions and an elevator inside the embassy, and while Ino and Gibril keep throwing shade at each other, they reach the top floor where the lowly wolf girl named Izuna comes out to greet them as the representative of the Warbeasts. Sora and Shiro immediately start cuddling with her, but Ino tells them to keep their hands away from his granddaughter or he will rip them apart personally. Anyway, they sit down to talk, and the old man asks them what they are here for. Sora says he is here to challenge him to a game to win Izuna's used underwear, and he bets Steph's clothes in return. Ino gets furious at this, but Sora was just riling him up to check if he can read minds. He finds that Warbeasts just use their sharp senses and intuition to read the emotions of the other person, but he can do that too. Ino sees his calm heartbeat and realizes that Sora is not bluffing. With that out of the way, Sora says that he is here to challenge the Warbeast nation as the king of humanity. He offers everything they own in exchange for the entire Warbeast territory, shocking everyone. Sora and Shiro then begin doing an analysis of the strategy that Warbeasts use. They say that they wipe the loser's memories of the game so that they don't know what the game is when they try playing it next time. This gives the Warbeasts an unfair advantage, and they can change the rules and cheat as much as they like. He then moves on to the fact that elves lost to them 4 times despite being great at using magic, which means that the game was something that does not rely on physical abilities or magic alone. He says that it definitely must be a video game, because only the Warbeasts have such advanced technology. To further prove his point, he remarks that Jibril couldn't remember the TVs outside even though she has challenged the Warbeasts, and it means that TVs are connected to the game memories that were wiped from her. Sora then tells the old man that their greatest mistake was underestimating Steph's grandpa and not wiping his memories because he found the loophole in their bet and made sure that someone found out about his discoveries after his death. Since the Warbeasts couldn't predict that, it was already clear to him that they can't read people's minds at all. Sora says that if they give this information to the elves, they will challenge the Warbeasts as many times as it takes to win. He says that if he wants to avoid that, he should accept playing a game with humans instead. He once again challenges Ino, betting the race piece if he loses. The old furry asks him to understand that losing a race piece means losing the rights as a species, and once that happens, humans will be treated as animals on whom the 10 rules don't apply. Sora and Shiro tell him that they are from another world, and there is no one in their world who is better at video games than them. They tell the furries to make their preparations and contact their big boss to get permission because they are going to lose everything this time. Ino is intimidated by their confidence, and then Sora says that he wants all of humanity to watch this game live since their fate is at stake, so they should arrange that too. Izuna grows furious and asks Sora and Shiro if they are challenging her. She tells them that they can't defeat her, but Shiro says that Team Blank never loses to anyone. Once they reach their palace, Steph yells at Sora, asking what the hell he was thinking. She asks how he is going to take responsibility if they lose, and he tells her that they will be screwed, so there will be nothing he can do. While Steph calls him reckless for betting the lives of 3 million people on a game, Jibril begins praising Sora for having the courage to take bold steps to conquer the world. However, Sora and Shiro just want to have fun playing games, so they don't understand why everyone is so emotional. Soon, the people turn against him and begin protesting outside the palace, but Sora doesn't pay them any mind because they are just losers who can't do anything but complain. It has been over a week since he challenged the Warbeasts, but there has been no response, so Sora decides to find the last piece that will help him secure victory. Suddenly, he feels that the one he was waiting for has come. The world starts glitching and Sora turns to Shiro, telling her to have faith in Team Blank. He says that they will always win every game they ever play, and he is going to get the last weapon for their game against the Warbeasts. He begins walking away, and as Shiro tries to reach him, he suddenly vanishes. The next morning, as Shiro wakes up, she finds that Sora is no longer with her. She begins trembling because of anxiety, and when Steph comes to check on her, she asks her about Sora. However, Steph asks who the hell Sora is, and Shiro suddenly feels the ground under her feet slip. Shiro suddenly recalls her past. She was a natural genius who was sent to a special facility even before she turned 1 year old. She was tested against many people by playing games that required intelligence, but it was boring for her because no one could match her. Then one day when she was 3 years old, Sora came to play with her. He did just what the adults would want him to do and faked smiles at them. Shiro could tell that he was empty inside, but their meeting changed their lives forever, and they became sworn siblings. However, now even her memories of Sora are starting to fade away. Shiro freaks out, and the world loses color for her. She runs to their shabby room and finds that Sora is not there too. Jibril comes to see her, and she calls her master instead of Sora, who she claims to not know. Jibril tells Shiro that she was the one who defeated her, commanded Steph to fall in love with her, and even found out the secret of the Warbeast's game. Shiro falls into depression because of that, and Jibril thinks that she played a game with some other race without telling them and got her memories manipulated. She challenges Shiro to a game, asking her to bet her fake memories and then lose on purpose. Shiro starts playing chess with her, wondering if her memories with Sora are really fake. She's about to lose the game on purpose, but then suddenly, she sees Sora in her memories telling her that Team Blank never loses. She wins the game with the next move, and suddenly color returns to the world. Shiro tells Jibril and Steph that Sora is real, and Jibril tries to make her believe otherwise. However, Steph suddenly supports Shiro because even though she has no memories of Sora, she has some feelings for him. She begins to reason with Jibril about what could have happened when Shiro checks the date. She finds that it is the 21st and the last time they saw Sora was on the 19th. Everyone's memories from the night of the 19th have been wiped clean, and Shiro says that this must be because Sora is playing a game and this is one of the rules he has to follow. She doesn't remember anything clearly except his last words in which he told her that they are one and they will always win. She suddenly hears Sora's voice in her head, asking her to hold him somewhere he can still feel alive. Shiro panics and begins thinking hard about Sora's final words, believing that they were a clue. She dives into her memories and figures out that Sora went to play a game with Kurumi's elf friend so that she can help them in the game against Warbeasts. The game he is playing with her is to steal each other's existence, and that is why no one remembers him anymore. Shiro falls unconscious, and in her dreams, she sees Sora challenging Kurumi and her elf girlfriend to a game of Othello, where each piece represents something about their existence. Once all the pieces are taken, the loser will cease to exist, but things will return to normal once the game ends. Sora told Kurumi that he wants her girlfriend to support them in the game if he wins, and he bet Shiro to go with her in case he lost. Kurumi accepted that challenge because she could not trust humanity's race piece in Sora's hands, and that was how the game started. As Shiro wakes up, she immediately tells Jibril and Steph about the game to steal each other's existence. She asks her to detect if there is any magic in the room, and she finds traces of magic but can't pinpoint their location. Luckily, Steph trips over some Othello pieces, and Shiro understands everything she needs to know. She figures out that even though all of Sora's memories have been erased from others, she still remembers him because they are playing as a team. She realizes that Sora let Kurumi take his memories to prove that he is not working with any other race, and now it is up to Shiro to win the game from the disadvantage and bring him back. She can't even see the board, but she knows where the pieces are and what the last 3 remaining pieces contain. They contain the way to win the game, Sora's absolute trust in her and her entire existence. She makes the winning moves, turning the game around. As soon as she does that, the fake reality around them shatters and Sora reappears before them. He tells Shiro that she can punch him for doing something so stupid, but she hugs him and apologizes for not coming to his rescue sooner. Sora comforts her, and then he hears the elf crying about Kurumi, who's still unconscious after losing the game. As for his victory reward, Sora decides that both the parties will keep a copy of their opponent's memories and regain their own. Kurumi comes to his senses with that, and then Sora makes his second demand to have full rights over the elf's memories. The elf is confused, but Kurumi trusts Sora after having seen his memories. With that, all 4 parties who had put their existences on the line in the game hug each other and begin crying because they were scared shitless while playing. After that, they sit down for a strategy meeting, and Sora says that they should start with introductions. Kurumi says that she can't introduce herself without talking about her partner first. The elf cutie introduces herself as Phil, and says that she would like to be friends with everyone here except the winged demon. Sora realizes that there is bad blood between them and then learns that during the ancient war, Jibril destroyed Phil's hometown after catching a stray attack that brought her to the ground. Sora judges her guilt and Jibril breaks down. He then asks Phil what they can do to make her forgive Jibril, and she replies that there isn't anything. However, Kurumi tells Phil that they need to work together with Jibril for Sora's plan to succeed and asks her to compromise a bit. Phil smiles and says that if the winged demoness will lick her feet and beg for forgiveness, she will work with her. Jibril doesn't want to do that, but Shiro and Sora order her to do so. She is forced to obey them, and after licking the elf's feet, she awakens a new kink. Suddenly, Steph gets up because she also wants an apology from Kurumi for cheating in the gambling tournament. Sora simply tells Steph to sit down since she lost because of a skill issue. Anyway, Kurumi explains that the elves basically keep humans as slaves, and technically she is Phil's slave, but the elf QB has never treated her like that. In truth, they are best friends with benefits, but after Phil's father passed away, she became the head of the family, and now their relationship is quite complex. Steph panics as she realizes that despite being a high-ranking elf noble, Phil is trying to help her slave, which can be counted as treason. While Phil says that her family and country can eat shit for all she cares, because she only wants Kurumi to stay happy. She says that Kurumi always starts crying when she is even a little bit upset, and before Phil can reveal any more secrets about her, Kurumi brings up the topic of fighting against the Warbeasts. They come up with a strategy, and the next day they depart to the Warbeast embassy, deliberately taking the route where the people are protesting against Sora's decision. No one can say anything when they see a flugel on top of his carriage, and Sora tells them to hurry and take him to the embassy so that he can meet with Izuna. They go to the embassy, and while they await the audience to fill the stadium to watch their game, Sora reminds Steph of the game they played in the city the other day and how he has not got his reward for that. He asks Jibril to cover them in a soundproof barrier as he tells the already nervous Steph that he's going to put a spell on her that will help them win the game. They go to the stadium where the Warbeasts and humans have arrived to watch the match on the big screen. Izuna is representing the Warbeasts, and everyone sits in pods that will link them to a computer using which they can play a virtual reality game. The old man Ino recites the rules of their challenge. He says that the rules of the game will be told once they enter the game, and if they want, the humans can quit after that, but their memories and the memories of all the humans in attendance will be taken away. Sora accepts the conditions, and then everyone squeers on the 10 rules. Suddenly, Izuna sees her mother's silhouette and gets nervous, and Sora notices it. He asks her when was the last time she had fun playing a game, and she is taken aback by this. Sora and Shiro hold hands as Ino logs everyone into the game, but then suddenly, the old furry feels the presence of magic. He sees Kurumi and even notices Phil watching them from a distance. He realizes that they are here to see that the Warbeasts don't cheat and share some sort of information with the elves, but he is confident that they will win without the need of cheating. On the other hand, as Sora and his team are being sent to the game world, he tries giving everyone a pep talk, but just as they land in the virtual world, which is an exact copy of Tokyo, he freaks out. Both Sora and Shiro lose all their enthusiasm and become nervous messes because the real world is their kryptonite. They apologize to Steph because they can't do anything now and humanity is doomed. While they are trembling, the game's intro song is played on a large holographic screen, and then Ino appears on it to recite the rules. He says that this game named Bullet of Love 2 is placed in a fictional world, and Sora suddenly gets his energy back. He asks the old furry to repeat what he said, and Ino says that they are in a fictional sci-fi world that is popular in their country, so they chose it as the game setting. Sora yells at him for not saying this beforehand because he almost got a heart attack. He then shakes Shiro, telling her not to worry because this is the world of a game, and she starts feeling better too. After that, Ino resumes reciting the rules of the game. He says that it is just a regular FPS shooter game with a twist. In this world, all the girls are thirsting after the players, and they have to shoot them with the love guns that are powered by their love energy. They can gain love energy by shooting the NPCs, and if they shoot an enemy player, he or she will turn into a love slave. Sora's team's goal is to shoot Azuna to turn her into their love slave, while she has to shoot them all and turn them into her harem. Sora thanks the old man for the rules and says that he will take things from here. He suddenly shoots an NPC who is trying to climb on their truck to recharge his gun. Steph is clumsy and lets the NPCs cling to her, losing all of her love energy, and then the NPCs leave her all alone. They escape from the NPCs, and Sora asks Ino what happens if they shoot a teammate. He replies that the teammate gets some love energy from that, but he or she also turns into their love slave for a short period. Before he can even complete the sentence, Shiro shoots Sora, turning her into her lover, but then Jibril shoots Shiro because she is suddenly into Lolis. Luckily, Shiro snaps out of it quickly, and she tells Jibril that she will be punished later. Just then, Steph comes running towards them, and Sora shoots her because he doesn't want to be bothered. Steph goes crazy after him, so he tells her to point the gun at the ground and shoot. Steph shoots only after the effect of Sora's love bullet vanishes and the bullet bounces back to hit her. Steph suddenly starts feeling attracted to herself. Sora tells Shiro that they should capitalize on the ricochet of the bullets, and then says that they should keep their running to a minimum because their stamina is still like the real world. They leave Steph by herself and rush ahead to start the game. While Sora tries getting the NPCs to lose their clothes using his bullets, Azuna coldly moves ahead to defeat his team. She feels frustrated because Sora is having fun when so many lives are on the line and because she has never felt like that while playing a game. Suddenly, she hears Shiro's footsteps at a distance, and she shoots at her, bouncing her bullet around to hit her. However, her shot doesn't hit Shiro, and Azuna panics. Shiro runs towards her, and when Azuna shoots her again, she counters her bullet by bouncing around her own bullet and intercepting it. Azuna can't believe it, and then Shiro suddenly starts pushing her back. She dodges all of Azuna's bullets with ease and corners her with her well-placed shots. Azuna jumps out of the building to avoid her, but Jibril is there waiting for her. She tries shooting Azuna, who dodges her attack and throws a grenade to blind her. Jibril takes some damage from that and becomes unable to fly, and then Azuna shoots her. Suddenly, she sees a sniper shot coming towards her from a great distance. While she dodges the first one, she barely manages to shoot back the second shot at the last moment. She falls to the ground and runs away, and in the meantime, Sora has returned Jibril to his team as well. Sora, Shiro, and Jibril reunite to discuss their strategy, and Sora is sure that Azuna is cheating to know about their location and their moves in advance, but they can't prove that. He knows that the Warbeasts will say that this is their sixth sense, and they have to find a way to deal with it. Outside the game, Ino realizes that Sora and Shiro know this game more than them, but he knows how to win. He talks to Azuna at an ultra-low frequency, telling her Sora's location. Azuna jumps there and attacks them, but Sora somehow manages to hold her back. He escapes with his group, and by nightfall, they are completely on the defensive. Shiro is working on a solution to the problem while Sora and Jibril keep watch when suddenly the brainwashed Steph attacks them. Sora deletes her clothes, and then Jibril shoots her, turning her into a temporary slave. Shiro begins doing complex calculus to find a way to win, but she can't come up with an answer. She tells Sora that it is all up to him, and then suddenly leaps at him to shield him from enemy fire. Azuna attacks him just then, and even though Sora dodges her attacks, he finds that Shiro is on the enemy team now. She shoots him, but luckily, Jibril flies him away. Jibril can't understand why Shiro would sacrifice herself when she is obviously the better one, but Sora understands. He says that Shiro left the answer to her calculations blank, which means that the only way to win this game is to play as Team Blank and put everything they have on the line. He tells Jibril to fight Azuna to buy him some time, and she immediately flies off to challenge the furry loli. On the other side, Sora goes to challenge Shiro, but she corners him with no effort. Sora is exhausted because of running, but as he reaches the rooftop, he comes up with an idea. He runs straight towards Shiro as she shoots him, and doesn't even try to dodge a single shot. This shocks Shiro, as she was sure that he would dodge, so she spread out the bullets, but because of that, Sora was not hit. He hugs her and jumps from the rooftop, shooting her to return her to normal. However, Azuna was waiting for this chance too. She leaps after them to take them down at once, but Sora blinds her with a grenade, and then Shiro starts shooting at her. This shocks Azuma and Ino, because Shiro should not be able to move when she was just shot, but it turns out that Sora shot her underwear and not her. The truth is that she was never under Azuna's control, and she had countered her bullet by throwing a button at it. She acted to be her slave all this time, waiting for the right moment. Shiro and Azuna shoot each other, and their bullets bounce back, barely hitting Azuna. She suddenly gets fired up because of the thrill and unleashes the hidden power of the Warbeasts to give her physical abilities a massive boost. She concentrates her energy to use as a foothold to jump while free falling. Sora and Shiro are shocked, and then Azuna slams into them, sending them crashing to the ground. She moves faster than they can react or anticipate, and all they can do is run and dodge her attacks. Azuna corners them in a park, and Shiro is at a loss about what to do. Sora asks her to let him take care of things by bluffing his way out. He charges straight at Azuna, anticipating that she will shoot to his sides in case he tries dodging, and then she will shoot straight at him. He shoots back to counter her bullet, but Azuna shot him twice, and her reflected bullet goes towards Shiro at the same time. Sora is too late to realize this, and both he and Shiro get headshotted by Azuna. Once they are knocked out cold, she turns normal and begins celebrating her victory when suddenly a bullet hits her from behind, knocking her out. It was Steph, who shot it with her eyes closed and riding an NPC's back. She asks Sora if she did what he told her correctly and if she can open her eyes now. Sora and Shiro return to their senses, and they are happy that their gamble worked out. Ino can't understand how they did it, and Sora explains it to him. He says that earlier, when Shiro and Azuna's bullets bounced back mid-air, they timed it so that Shiro's bullet would hit Steph, who was being carried by an NPC. Before that, Shiro had already calculated the algorithm that controlled the NPC's path, and they lured Azuna to this spot on purpose. Even before the game began, Sora had used his reward from the games a few weeks ago to make Steph obey any order Shiro had written on the ground subconsciously without remembering it. That order, combined with the fact that NPCs don't make a sound while moving, and Steve's unconsciousness made it impossible for Azuna to notice her even with her sixth sense. Ino can't believe that someone can calculate this, and Sora asks if he is thinking that they have the ability to read the future. He reveals that he already knew that Ino was using his sharp senses to tell Azuna about their location, and they used that to lure them into a trap. Ino can't accept that, but he swallows the bitter defeat and declares that Elkia won, and the Warbeast Kingdom will give up all the land they have taken from them back. As the humans outside rejoice, Azuna gets back on her feet, feeling guilty that her country is going to suffer because of her loss. Sora and Shiro tell her to stop thinking too much about it because at least she had fun. She starts crying, but Sora and Shiro tell her that it is the first defeat that turns anyone into a true gamer. They stretch their hands towards her, and Azuna takes them, promising that she won't lose the next time. However, the game is far from over for Sora, and he decides to go to the capital of the Warbeasts next to deal with their ruler, the Foxwoman Shrine Princess. She welcomes Sora to her capital, even though she is not happy that not only did he defeat Azuna, but he also harmed the Warbeasts in more ways than one. He let the elves see the game and made the Warbeasts vulnerable to their next challenge. And if that was not enough, he even involved the Phantasma and the Flugels in the mix. Ino is shocked to hear this and asks how the hell they could even reach them, and Jibril says that she may not look it, but she's a big shot among the Flugels and has a lot of authority. The Fox Mommy is really furious at this, and she almost attacks Sora, saying that she will get revenge against humans. Sora accepts her challenge and tosses a coin towards her, saying that instead of playing any long-winded game, they should settle it with this simple toss. The mommy begins to laugh, saying that she can't believe that after her life's work has been almost ruined, she's going to decide her country's fate with a coin toss. Sora says that if he wins, he will take all of the Warbeast territory, and the mommy says that if she wins, the Warbeasts will get the right to govern themselves in the territory that Elkia has already won. Sora is surprised that she didn't ask for more, and the mommy says that she is more worried about her people now, because once the elves and Flugel come for them, they might lose anyway. Sora decides to toss the coin and asks the Fox Mommy to make the call. She unleashes her full power and calculates the exact number of rotations the coin will do before hitting the ground and how it will bounce after that. She finds that it will land on tails and picks that, but it lands in a gap between the tiles, standing straight instead. Sora tries acting like it was a coincidence, but Azuna laughs because she saw him pull back the tile. Sora says that since they both won, Elkia gets all the Warbeast territory, but they have the right to govern themselves, so they will form an alliance to work together. The Fox Mommy is impressed that he got what he always wanted, but she thinks that they are going to lose anyway once the elves come. Sora says that it will not happen, because he used the reward from the existence erasing game to alter Phil's memories, and she has given wrong info to the elves, so they won't win the game, and instead the human Warbeast Warbeast alliance will take over their territory as well. With that, the Fox Mommy and Eno tell Sora that they were afraid that he would conquer their country and take their race peace, but Sora says he has no interest in that. He says that his goal is to defeat Tet, and it doesn't matter if he is a god or whatever, because Team Blank never loses.